I think of the procrastination and the avoidance, it's our way of like keeping us in the same way. Because what happens if you do start posting every day? What happens if you have like an incredible website? Like clients might come flooding in, people might come flooding in, eyes might come flooding in, and like subconsciously that is scary for us. I could, write more of what I've experienced. I do talk about it, but I'm not going like really deep. Why? Because some of it is really scary. What would happen if people really saw all of you? What would happen if you stepped up? And I think as much as we have fear of failure, we also, at the same time, ironically, have fear of success. What would happen if your business like literally boomed right now and you had all these clients coming in and all this money coming in? Like that is scary too, at least to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, could I handle that? Who would I be? So that's why we just have to like take these steps and keep going, keep pushing. You have to get over this avoidance. You have to get over this procrastination. You need to post every single day, and you don't need to make it a big deal. Just to do it, just to like get it out.
This is the Space Whispering Podcast with Rainy. In this episode, I connect with Shannon Tomascak, founder of Soul Flow with Shannon, a spiritual and somatic coach, workshop facilitator, and podcast host of Windows to the Soul. She blends science and spirituality to help others break free from fear, anxiety, and limiting beliefs. We had so much fun on our conversation. I also was invited to her podcast, so please go listen to that episode. I'm very vulnerable on both of them. This is how incredible she is to holding space. This was recorded a few months ago. Sorry, Shannon. But it's incredible how her life has evolved, not specifically changed, because like at the core you'll see she's like so sweet, so loving, holds space so beautifully. She's doing something different and she's living very differently, and she holds community building for women. She has a lot of courses, one-on-one, and a few new offerings, so please go check her out on her Instagram. We're building a community of soulful whisperers and creators. Join us by subscribing, leaving a review, and following on Instagram at Rainy_. If you're ready to transform your space into something authentically you, and if this episode inspired you, imagine the worlds we can create together. Book a discovery session. Download my freebie on my website at rainy.co. Whispers. Keep creating spaces that feed your soul, and let's whisper together. Hola. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. I'm excited of the connection and the community that we are creating, through other people, and the connection that got us together, and that you said yes to be on my podcast. I'm so grateful.
Yes, we are all about that building community and connection here, and hopefully through this conversation today, we can start to spread that out to more people. I'm excited to join your podcast, and you'll be joining mine very soon. So yeah.
I love that. I like to start with your name. Like, if you have the meaning of it, when did you learn of the meaning, or did you create your own meaning? And then growing up, did you have nicknames? Did you accept your name? Yeah, and the story behind it. We'd love to know.
Yeah, so my full name is Shannon Tomascak, and I feel like growing up, it was interesting. There was like a few other Shannons in my school. Usually, I feel like the name is pretty rare, or at least like I don't typically meet other Shannons, but growing up, I did a little bit. Um, my name is from an actress in 90210, Shannon Doherty. So she is, yeah, that my mom liked the name. They named me after her. They had some other ideas, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I've really grown to love my name. I never like disliked it. I don't think I ever had a period where I was like, this doesn't align with me. But now I really love it. And now I feel like it's super unique for me. And it's also, there's an airport in Ireland. There's a Shannon airport. And I always like put my claim to fame there. If someone's going to Ireland, I'm like, go to my airport, go to my airport. Um, which is kind of funny because I really enjoy traveling and seeing the world. So that's another interesting little uh, synchronicity, I guess. My last name, Tomasak, has an interesting spelling to it. That has tripped people up forever and ever. Like they usually pronounce it like Tomchek, Tomsack. It's all good. It's just like got some kind of funny spelling with the SC. But yeah, I'm really my name is growing with me. I feel like as I've grown and evolved, I feel like I've learned to love my name as well as like more of me.
Oh, beautiful. Isn't it interesting that our names are like powerful almost?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a magic wand or a magic and like giving someone your full name, it's like so powerful.
Yeah, and I totally forgot now what there was like a meaning behind it because I remember seeing like people putting in their names into like Chat GPT or Google saying like what is the symbolism in this name? And I remember there was like a cool story behind it, but I don't remember now. So obviously it wasn't that special, but if you guys try that, I feel like it's kind of cool to see what it means.
Wow, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. I think for me, I think I was like in a store where they had like different names one time and I was able to figure out like the meaning behind. But my name is a mix, so I had to, get my dad's name, my mom's name, my sister's name, and kind of get the meaning of each and then combine it.
That's really cool.
So what's the name of your podcast?
Windows to the Soul.
Mm, and why did you put that name?
Well, I feel like the name soul has kind of always sparked for me, like I use it a lot in my business. I kind of have called like I am my business as a coach, as a healer, a provider, but I kind of title it Soul Flow with Shannon. And then I was thinking of podcast names, and the intention behind the podcast is to have people share their stories and share their journeys, their evolution, what they've experienced. And Windows to the Soul really was like that encapsulates what I want to do because we're opening, that window. We're looking in deeper conversations. Like these aren't the surface level conversations. These are like, what are your core wounds and what are your biggest lessons in life and, breakthrough moments? Like these are the deep conversations. So that idea of like windows to the soul, like to your inner being, inner world, spoke so much to me. And yeah, using the word soul, I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I also use soulful tools like as part of like the space whispering, which is soulful tools plus design. And it's basically how I went into two extremes, which is like the soul and like everything like yoga, Reiki, really into the body and the spirit, and then design, which is like my career, all of it. And in both, ended up like almost like hitting a wall in a sense, like a ceiling. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Who am I? And I had these like in certain moments of my life, like, who am I or what do I want to do? Because I used to put these goals, and then when I would accomplish them, there's a little crisis. And and then, through community, through friends, they helped me create this and use my name as the business, first of all, which is me, right? So it's always evolving, always changing, and then combining both, which is everything I do, right? And it's like I was or abandoning one and nourishing another one, and now I'm like, getting into that balance of what that is. Yeah.
I really relate to that. I feel like my life has been like that in so many ways. I'm like, okay, I have to go in this direction and I have to like put it in a box. And like, if I'm going to claim this identity and pursue this job, like that's it. Like, that's what I have to focus on. And then I'm like, wait, all right, I'm going to pivot this way and I'm going to go this way. And then it's just that. And now it's like we can combine all of it. Like, we're so multifaceted as people and we can have so many interests, so many passions. I feel like a lot of people get hard on themselves with that. They're like, I just need to stick with one thing. I just need to like niche down. I just need to do this. And then we're like cutting off other parts of us and like neglecting those other passions.
Yeah. And so you mentioned your business. Can you repeat the name and then how did you birth it?
Yeah, sure. So it's Soul Flow with Shannon. I am the business. I'm the only one there. I'm hosting events and workshops and coaching clients. So it evolved because I was kind of going down this path before. I was interested in becoming a therapist and I was studying psychology in school. I was working for mental health centers, and it evolved along the way to me starting to do my own thing. It was many moments along the way that shaped me, that led me there. But at first, I was just like, okay, can I do this? I think it was actually a coach that I had hired who was like, why don't you do your own thing? And I was like, wait, should I? Like, it almost didn't occur to me. It was almost like I just have to do work under someone else and, follow along that. Like, I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. No one in my family is an entrepreneur. My friends are not entrepreneurs. Well, my previous friends, before getting into the entrepreneurial space. Now we're everywhere, but yeah, it was like very, very foreign for me. Where's gonna health insurance gonna come from? Where's your steady income gonna come from? All that. So I just started to explore it by hosting some workshops. I was working for a mental health center doing like yoga therapy, art therapy groups, and that kind of stuff. And I was like, I can kind of create that in my own way. And running these different types of workshops, helping people understand their inner world through different practices, and then coaching clients. I ended up getting a coaching certification in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, our subconscious mind, how our thoughts are creating, the feelings in our body, and then creating the actions that we're taking. It's all connected. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I want to teach people this. I want to help people with this. I want to show them, what I've learned. So it started to evolve into that just with coaching. And I was working with clients one on one, helping them over time. It's a very I mean, there's a lot of similarities to therapy, right? It's like you are working in a safe space with a provider and you're connecting deeply and you're working through your trauma, your history, your beliefs, and then we're growing together. And then in a lot of ways, it's very different because when I was working in the therapeutic world, there's like so much that you can't do. There's so much that you are, I don't know what's the right word to say, just like, well, if you're working under someone, you have to follow their way. You have to do the kind of therapy, their style. There's a lot of like not sharing about yourself, which is by no means the focus of my sessions in coaching, but like people have appreciated me sharing my story to them to help them in that point. Like if it's something that they're struggling with and they're feeling, really alone, really rejected by that, really like no one else gets it, and then able to like relate your story or similar stories, um, helps people so much in a different way that I didn't know before. And yeah, so just like there's more creativity in it, I feel like, for me, which is what I love, like being able to create these workshops. I've been hosting a lot of workshops this year about anxiety, about self-love, and people are just loving it. They get to join in a group space and we do different exercises together. And I really love that. And running groups, like that's kind of more what I've shifted into now. We talked about community and connection before. Everyone loves it. A lot of the work is online virtually. So people are tuning in from all over the world. And, some people might be from a small town or an area where they're like, no one gets it. Like, I don't know anyone doing what I'm doing, or I don't know anyone feeling this way. I feel alone. I feel different. And then we can come into this group space and they're like, wait, there's so many more people like me. There's actually all these women, even in different places in the world, and we're all like feeling exactly the same way and we're all connecting, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah. I was thinking that is so true, and mainly as an entrepreneur, and if your family there's no one like you, sometimes it's like, who do I reflect myself with where am I, And it's like, oh my God, I have to create myself in a way alone. And it could become very alone, mainly with like women. I don't know why it is. Women feel lonelier sometimes, and we are creators. So it's like, we're literally we can create a human in our body. And so, but we also create so much more.
Mm-hmm.
That sometimes is not accredited. But that is so beautiful what you do. Thank you for doing what you do. I want
Thank
to say
you.
that. Yeah. How do you create your boundaries, like with your clients, with the workshops? Because you're connecting very deeply with the people you are, coaching and or interacting with. And so I think there's like a fine line where it's like, where do you start? Where do they end, or vice versa?
Yeah, well, I'm going to share an insight from another coach that I really love how she turned the word boundaries into uh personal policies, or like your personal values, because I feel like when we talk about boundaries, we're like putting up a wall, and when I did do my coaching training and I started to get into this space, there were people who are saying all these things to have, let someone know all these things that they cannot do, like they can't contact you on these hours, and make sure that you're you can't cancel a session like 3 hours before, or like whatever, which is understandable. Like all of these things are totally valid, but there was just like that way of communicating them, like here's all the things you can and can't do, and this is the way it is. And I don't know, for me, I think with like this idea of it being your personal policy and your personal values, I haven't necessarily like needed to do that. I haven't needed to say like here's things that you can't do and here's what you can do. It's like the way that I'm holding the space and the things that I'm talking about are helping people feel safe in a way. I mean, there's always invitation. I would say, like when I'm working with clients, I'm always making sure that they know you don't have to do something you don't want to do. Like your agency is within yourself. Feel free to share if you would like, if you feel safe to do so. And so I think like that is a lot of the way like my energy is. I don't think I'm going to answer this really well in the way of like how do you put these boundaries up, because I really I don't. It's very different, I know, than a lot of people. I guess there's a lot of I think also another thing that I do is I'm communicating information. So maybe people have like enough information that they need, and then, they're here to show up. They're here to put in the work, and it's just like it just happens naturally. Um yeah.
Okay, so give me an example of one of your policies or values.
Yeah. Policy. Okay, I'm gonna refer back to like when I host groups, and since we have so many different people coming in from different places, different backgrounds, different views on life, there is a big point to have it be kind of like judgment free, to not like put your input on someone else or tell someone like how they should live their life. Like that's something that I'm big on. We have to like respect each other for our differences. And also, when I've run like big women's circles, sometimes like we all want to, like there's a natural inclination to want to help someone else. So maybe someone shares something that they are going through, and maybe someone else has like already experienced that, has tried a bunch of things, found something that worked for them, and they like feel like they're past it now, I guess, in a way. And so when someone brings up like, oh, I'm really thick of this struggle, I don't like, or I don't want people, I guess this is a personal policy, to tell them, here's what you need to do to like fix it. Like, I did this, you need to try this. Have you tried this? Have you done this? Have you done that? Because then it can make people feel, maybe they have tried all those things already, and you're like, have you tried this yet? Or like, why did this work for me? So I let people know in the beginning of group settings, like, we're here to listen. We're here to share from our own experience, because, you know, if someone's sharing one thing and then the other person has experienced that, feel free to share from your own perspective. Like, here's what helped me. I had this scenario, XYZ, not like you need to do things this way because I said so. And so, yeah, just like really being able to respect where other people are at, not try to fix or change them. And it just happens naturally to flow when we're all sharing together and we're all listening. We're all letting each other take up space, and it just happens beautifully from there.
I asked for the example, and thank you for that, because sometimes when we create these policies or we are aware of our values, because sometimes we are not aware of our values, but when you're clear on them, sometimes what can happen is like guilt and shame because you have those values or because you have those policies or because they're so different than other people or the ones that you grew up with. Like that can create some, nervousness or shame. And I think that it seems that that you're able to be like releasing that. And so, yeah, that's why I asked about the boundaries. And thank you, because it also evolves, right? It also changes, and sometimes like you don't even realize, but that's not the person you want to be anymore, or those values are like old ones that you are just like, I'm fine with those, or no, actually, no, I'm not fine with those anymore. And so, yeah, always evolving, always changing. And as long as you respect the other person and yourself mainly, then, your body, I think that's like a huge thing. But I also have another question so I can understand more other people of like what exactly you do. So I'm Rainy and I come to you to a session. Like, would you work with me? Like, what are your criteria for your clients, and then that you work with, and then like how would we work together? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So first I would like to have someone, I'd like to speak with them a little bit more about what's going on and like what are you looking for support with. Um, if if they're reaching out through, social media or even just like a conversation in person, I would say let's have another conversation. Like I usually do a discovery call with people where we meet on Zoom. We have like 30 to 45 minutes to just chat, and I want to know like what are you struggling with? What are you feeling like you want support with? And in that, I will really listen to get an understanding of, what it is that someone is looking for help with. We want someone who is willing and open to change. You can be afraid of that. Totally, totally afraid. We're all afraid of that. You can be afraid, you can be anxious, you can be nervous, scared to like make a leap or an investment in yourself. That is all totally normal and natural. But I think it's important that like someone has reasons why they want to change, that aren't, for another person, or that aren't like, you need to fix me or you need to change my life, like, which I don't typically get, but I'm just, letting like that's what I'm listening for. I feel like people are like, yeah, I want to change because I want to feel better. I want to, accomplish these bigger goals. And there's struggles in the beliefs there of like, can I have these things? Can I do it? I'm unmotivated. I'm shy. I can't do it. Like all those beliefs, I work with people on to help them change them. And so typically it would look like, one-on-one like this, if we're working in a one-on-one setting, and we'd have sessions. I like to meet weekly and hold spaces that are maybe at least 3 months, 3 to 6 months, so we can get in to do the work together. I It's not like a typical one session where you're going to be like, oh, I'm fixed, or like this has changed. Like this is stuff that you want to implement in your life. These are habits. These are, beliefs that we're unraveling, and week by week do that together. It's if you go to like an energy healer and you want a Reiki session or you want a massage, like that's going to give you probably an instant change in that moment. But this is like over time, it's taken so much time to implant these beliefs and condition them. So it takes time to uncondition them. And so, yeah, when I work with clients, we do a lot of talking. We do a lot of other exercises and experiences. I guide meditations, hypnosis, somatic therapy, a lot with the body. Typically, it's in the sessions, like we might do a little bit of movement, a little bit of guidance there, but I also guide like full on movement sessions. So, yeah, I try to incorporate all of this in. Like we were saying before about keeping it separate. First, I was like, I need to keep these so separate. Like the coaching is the coaching, the movement is the movement, and not separate. But now I'm like, no, let's tie it in together. So it's based on, it's very personalized, like based on what the person is coming in with. You know, if I would say if there's so much like physical emotion in the body and there's like pain and there's fear and there's anxiety, then I would say let's go into like movement to help you ground and help you release some of that, help you like feel your body again. If people are feeling really disconnected from their body, if they're struggling a lot with body image, then I would say like let's go into some of this movement. And if there's more of that stability and that foundation and they're like I like really want to get to the next level, like I don't want these beliefs, like let's unwire that, rewire them, then we'll do different exercises. So yeah, it's a process, but it's really nice to meet with such amazing women. And I also have been through like every person that comes to me, I'm like, I see myself in you. I see like either this was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like I've felt that. So it's so beautiful to kind of just like pay. It's almost like feeling like I'm paying it forward. Like I had this help before. Here's like what helped. And, you know, making them feel safe and accepted, I think is like one of the biggest things that isn't even like a thing. It is like the most important thing, but it's not like something that we're doing together. It's like I'm here to show you like it's okay, because I feel like so many women are coming in with such shame and such like embarrassment, or like I've never told anyone this. I feel so bad about this thing. And then just to have me or someone else sit across from them and be like, it's okay. There's just so much release in that. There's so much shift in that, like to be seen and held and like still loved, like still love you. It's okay. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. I I did something similar. Isn't it interesting? I was teaching yoga in a retreat center in Dominican Republic, in specifically Las Terrenas. It's a small beach town, and you know, I it first started because I did a yoga teacher training years ago, and I did it for me. So it was never to teach. Immediately I graduate, but the teachers that I had, three amazing people, they always like, you need to teach, like all the time. And I'm like, no, I'm here for me. I'm here for me. Immediately I end the course and graduate. I stay in Costa Rica. I was in Costa Rica and I stay there. I decided to stay and I ended up like maybe 3 months in total. And immediately I go to the next town to live there. I get a yoga class, like to teach, like a friend, that I meet there, a French, beautiful, she was a model. And she's like, hey, I need help with my classes. Can you teach them? And immediately I have to create my own sequence and all of that. After that, I keep teaching. I have more confidence. I come here. They ask me the same. Hey, can you teach this class? And I teach it to a friend of mine first, what I think of. Like I created a whole thing for her specifically. And when we're done, we're in front of the beach. She's like, you need to teach this to the world. Like, why do you keep this hidden? And she's a yoga teacher, right? And she's telling me this. And it's incredible when I decided to actually do that and mix all my workshops and all of that, that it's not just yoga. It's like a Kelmic movement. People like ended up crying, I would cry. It's like these things that we hold that we think are just ours, like you're doing, like you are experiencing that and then you're sharing it with the world. And I thought I was like, no, this is mine. I don't know if it really works, and like shying away and not showing people like, hey, this is what I do. It's like, it's a disservice to the world. And I'm learning that now. Even if I, went to this place and taught, I still felt protected, because it wasn't like public and stuff. And like now it's like the world is like knocking on my door. And I think this is where the next question is, you put these workshops out there, you post on social media, you are very active, and you have your podcast. Like, what took you to that level of like, no, I'm going to have this discipline or habit, and I'm going to post, and I'm going to create, and I'm going to invite other people to my world so they can create their world? Like, how did that look like?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Briefly, I also, when I did my yoga teacher training, did not do it to teach. And then it's like it all happened after that. That was like a spiritual awakening for me. Yeah. But so for that, I would also say I wouldn't say like I feel like I'm not doing enough, but I still feel like even now I'm still holding myself back in some ways. To other people, they see, oh, you're not holding yourself back because you're doing all these things, XYZ. Um, but it's been a process because I've started over 3 years ago now, and I would just like implement one thing at a time. Like I would just do one thing, and um I would feel like I wasn't super disciplined because when I started, I wasn't posting that often. I mean, it was consistent for like once or twice a week, but when you think about it, like to grow, people are posting 5, 6, 7 days a week, sometimes multiple times a day. And I knew that I did want to find things my way, like because some of the stuff that I did do was because other people were doing it. And they were like, this is the way you do it. Like, this is the way if you're starting online or coaching business, you do this workshop and then you sell this program and then you charge this price. And I was like in the beginning following a lot of other people's voices of like how to do things. And there was a lot of like resistance there because I was like, I don't really like, I didn't know that I didn't like it at the time, but I was like, okay, like she said this and she's, doing really well. I must like follow that. And then over time, I realized like I don't have to do things the same way as everyone else. And like I'm going to do things my way and it's going to work for me in my way. And, I'm still growing, I'm still learning. Um, I think the question was about like, how did you start putting all this stuff out? I mean, it all was extremely scary. Every single step along the way, like launching, terrifying. Like the videos that I would first took talking on my Instagram story, terrifying, so scared. I look so shy. I look so funny. Starting the podcast, at the beginning of it. Again, this was something that I was like, oh, maybe this is a good, place to create content too, podcasting. And I knew that I really aligned with like communications and community and storytelling like that with people. But I was like, oh, like maybe this is a great platform to start to jump into. And then I knew if I didn't do it consistently, I would fall off. So that's how I was like, it's an all or nothing thing with me for some things. Like I have to do the podcast consistently or I won't do it at all. So I pushed myself in that way, but it also flowed naturally because, I join lots of spaces to meet people and then it happens naturally. Like, how we just had a podcast swap, like same thing with other people. When I traveled to Bali last year, it was so easy to meet people to do a podcast with. So there's like that. Um, but yeah, everything is really scary in the beginning. Everything is uncomfortable, like using your voice in the beginning. Every time you're like overthinking, am I making sense? Did I say the right thing? Like there's also this fear of being perceived wrong. I felt it in the beginning of the podcast, and now that I've talked to other people who have started sharing their voice, they feel it. They're like, you're like, it's so weird when you're on the other side of it because it doesn't make sense why you'd have it, or like there's nothing that you're saying potentially that could get you canceled, but there's this fear of like, am I going to get canceled? Like, am I going to say something that someone's going to take the wrong way? Like, you're just hyper vigilant that everything you're saying, if someone is in a different scenario right now, like this could hurt them or something, you know. And now I'm not seeing it that way, because I know that what I'm sharing is coming from my heart, and I'm being empathetic, and I'm being understanding, and I really just want people to live their best lives. So yeah, it's very interesting. Everything comes with fear, and with repetition it gets easier. That's like what I've learned, because all of it was a push. But and I've wanted to give up a million and one times. There's been so many times like, should I just get a real job? Should I just, go back to the security with a consistent paycheck and the income, and then I don't have to think about it, and then I can turn my brain off like at 5 o'clock. Like, I crossed that bridge in my mind so many times, and then I keep getting signs of like, no, persevere, keep going. It's worth it. It's hard. It's really hard for me personally. But it's worth it. So
Oh, thank you for sharing. I feel you. I've so many times, should I get employed? Should I get employed? And then, like you said, there's signs that are like, don't go there. Don't go there. And it's like so hard to not go there because, you have the outside voices, like you mentioned. So many outside voices, like, this is the right path. This is what you should be doing. What are you doing with your life? What are your future plans? And, they're always asking about, what's your plan? Are you staying here? Are you staying there? Are you getting this? Why don't you have this? You should, and you should. I've heard it all, and mainly recently. So thank you for sharing that. And talking about voices, and you mentioned a lot the outside voices. How did you learn to hear your voice, or what voices do you hear now?
yeah. Well, when I first started creating, like writing posts, I feel like I was also in a very like wounded place. So it was coming out. I wouldn't say it was easy. It was like, I was able to write from that place of like pain, and what I was what I had went through before that, like the trauma that I had experienced, the partying. That was kind of a big part of my life, is like drinking alcohol. And then when I stopped drinking, I was able to like reflect on that time. So it was, that part was like a flow. And then there was definitely a lot of confusion again when I started my business, because I'm like, what voice do I write in? Like, now I'm an authority figure, and I'm supposed to write with like educational posts and informational posts. Like, that's what I was saying in the beginning, where I was like someone else is like, you need to write 30% educational, 30% your own story, 30% selling. And I'm like, like my brain, I don't know. I don't know what to do. So again, there was lots of like going around, like, okay, I'm writing these posts because people are saying I should write that, because I know like mindset is a huge part of my focus with clients. And so I'm writing about mindset. And, it is interesting for me to write and I learn too as I'm like creating. So that was fun. And then, yeah, it's just evolved and like pivoted so many times. But I feel like now I'm starting to like create the way that I want to more. I feel like I enjoy like laughing and like fun, like funny content. So now I'm starting to bring humor into the same topics and the same themes in a different way. And I feel like that is more me now, but it's like, taking years of different trials and pivots, and let's try this, let's try that, to see and feel that. And it could totally change again next year or in 6 months. Like, I just know that now I'm enjoying like making a funny reel and then talking about the same topic, but it's just like in a different way. And so it's not so heavy. I also feel like when I don't like talking about, here's all your problems, because that's another kind of way that coaches and healers and people are selling online, talk all about their pain, talk about how like horrible of a place that you're in, and like you got to get out of it. Like, I don't, that approach doesn't really align with me. Let's talk about like where we're going, where we want to go, like what you can grow through. I talk about my pain still, but um yeah, so of course there's always voices. There's always like, am I writing this for me? Am I writing this because I want to sell something? Like, what message am I trying to convey? And it's a lot to think about. Like, we never had social media before. We never thought about like being perceived in so many ways. And coming back to like, that thought of like the podcast before and like, am I going to get canceled? If you feel like you're knowing that there's going to be so many eyes on you and so many different perspectives, and you're trying to like make everyone like it. Like that's how I was trying to create content. I'm like, I'm thinking about this person and that person and my family and the extended cousins and like, what are they going to think of this post? And like, no matter what, you're never going to make everyone all happy. Like not everyone's going to like it. Like that's just statistically, that's just the way of the world. Like not everyone is going to like what you have to say, but the more you share what you really want to say, like there's going to be people who love it and are like cheering you on, and they're like, this is amazing. And of course there's going to be people that don't like it. It's just, it's just the way it is. Like even when you try to fit in and you try to be liked, there's still people that won't like it. So there's no point to do that.
Yeah. It still hurts,
Yeah.
but at the same time it's like, no, this is my voice. This is my voice today, and this is what I want to share. Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I totally understand when you were saying the pain and all of this. It overwhelms me. But it overwhelms me that I don't do anything. So I have it in organized, but I don't move on. Like they're here in a way because it's sleeping in my Notion, which
And
is what I
creating,
use.
like for creating content, you're saying?
Creating content, putting messages out there, even speaking about what I do, what I don't do,
Mm-hmm.
like even before and after photos on my website. Like I have them, but they're not clear. And so like I received like a download, that's how I say, and I'm like, okay, I need to do the before and after. And I had confirmation and I started doing it, and I have a collage and I have a thing. I haven't done it. And that's been months. And like it's so easy sometimes, and I get it until a 90%, and that 10% push, I stop. And so,
I know that feeling. As much as I
mhm.
talked about like doing all these things, that's happened to me a million times. Like there has been so many things that I haven't released, I haven't put out, that I wouldn't say gave up on, but I was like I'm not gonna finish this. And I do think there's like maybe some of it isn't meant to be birthed yet. There's a project that I worked on a few years ago that I went really far on, and then I didn't finish it, and I was like really into it, and I'm still thinking about it years later and like wanting to implement it, but I think it just wasn't the time for that specifically. Um but I think other ways, like, the procrastination and the avoidance, it's our way of like keeping us in the same way. Because what happens if you do start posting every day? What happens if you have like an incredible website? Like clients might come flooding in, people might come flooding in, eyes might come flooding in, and like subconsciously that is scary for us. I know that feeling because I've always thought about it. I'm like, I could do a post every day, but why don't I like, I could, write more of what I've experienced, but I kind of like simmer on the top of it. I do talk about it, but I'm not going like really deep. Why? Because some of it is really scary, and like what would happen if people really saw all of you? What would happen if, you stepped up? And I think as much as we have fear of failure, we also at the same time, ironically, have fear of success. Like what would happen if your business like literally boomed right now and you had all these clients coming in and all this money coming in? Like that is scary too, at least to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, could I handle that? Who would I be to everyone I know? Like a successful big businesswoman, like, whoa, that's really different. So that's why we just have to like take these steps and keep going, keep pushing. For the content, like I was saying before, I wasn't posting consistently. And then in December, I did a 30-day content challenge because I saw this other coach. She was talking about it. Her name's Rachel Bell. She was just like, literally, you have to get over this avoidance. You have to get over this procrastination. You need to post every single day. And you don't need to make it a big deal. Literally, if you want to take a picture of the wall and post no caption, like just to do it, just to like get it out and, work that muscle, that like familiarity. and I did it. And that was like the most content I've ever created, because before that, like I said, I was like posting once or twice a week. So that's like what, 3 months to post 30 times, 2 to 3 months. And then I did it in 1 month and I was like, oh my God, I can do it. And now I was like, oh, I can do it. So you kind of sometimes like need to prove to yourself that you can. Um, and you really can. It doesn't have to be all this like perfect caption, perfect post, carousel, everything. Like it can be simple. It can be like a meme drop. Like I said, I like funny things. So I like meme drops, or like you can post an old photo of you and then just write like a little caption of like, here's where I've been. So we make it really hard on ourselves.
So, um, so I know you almost have to leave, and one of the things when I was tuning in to what to talk about, the word that came up was love. And I don't know what's happening in your life or what, where you're going, but love is like in the air, and so I just feel like, and by the way, look at your colors. And the 888, which for me it's abundance, and it's like love is one of them, wealth and health. And so like love is such a like abundance, So
Thank you. I'm in my year personal, there's these personal year numbers. I'm in my year 8. So I guess we like have like these 9-year cycles, and I'm in a year 8. Last year was a year 7, which was like changes and traveling and introspection and like understanding yourself on a deeper level. Makes sense. That was my year last year. 8 is my year this year, which is like you just said, abundance and relationships. And I'm really, yeah, I'm feeling that way. Like I talk a lot, also a lot of like clients come in with struggles in relationships, like friendship, family, romantic, whatever it is. Because maybe up until now you've met people that didn't accept you, or that, didn't like parts of you, were hard on you. And I had that also, like I experienced that also. And like I said, when I first started, doing this different thing, going down this different path, I experienced a lot of that. Like who like are my friends still my friends? Do they like this new version of me? Do they like these parts of me? And I feel like I've just, continued to show up and, be the best person that I can be, and be kind, be empathetic. And like, it's able to now attract so many of those amazing relationships, so many people I'm meeting just like synchronistically, like online, from a chance meeting. And people are like, how? What are you doing? Like, how are you meeting all these people? Like, it's crazy. Like, they're like, it's so hard for me to make friends. And I'm like, I know, I get it. There's also, you have to be open to it. I feel like a lot of people are closed off to that. Like, they're just like, especially if they're out in the gym or out at a coffee shop and they're like, no one talk to me. You're not going to meet somebody if you have that energy. But if you have the like openness, like I can meet a new friend, I can meet a new business partner, I can meet a client at any moment. Like you really can, truly. I experienced that in Bali last year. Like I met best friends in the most random of ways. And you people I think are just closed off to meeting people that way. They're just like, you know, either I meet a friend through one of my friends or I meet someone at work, and that's all fine too. But yeah, the love, I'm feeling it in the relationships that I have around me that have yet to come. Hoping for more abundance this year. It's coming, it's coming.
it's here, it's here, it's here. It's interesting because I think when you travel, you are out of your comfort zone. And there's something in our mind, even if it's unconscious, that it's almost like, oh my God, I'm new. I'm in the world. You have to fly or drive. So there's a transition already. But you're not the same person because they're not meeting you in your hometown. They're not meeting you in your home or the coffee shops you visit. They're meeting you somewhere else. And mainly if you travel alone, I feel like when you travel alone, it's like you're an attraction to people. Because you are open, you started being open. And I know people that do travel and do all these things that I just interested and not meet people. But usually I've encountered that because what happened, I was looking around the friends I was having recently, and I was trying to find something in common from them. And the common thing is they were always from a different country than what they were living in. So I thought, oh, these are people that leave their comfort zone and they just are out in the world. And so because they have left their comfort, they're open somehow, and then the connection's like deeper, more profound. You're not talking about where you're from because it doesn't, how do you even explain where you're from? It's like, it's really hard, or what you do, even that goes away. So there's no borders anymore. There's no borders, maybe a common language, but I've met people that we almost communicate with hand because sometimes we don't even have the same language. We have a little bit of my language. And so there's something there so powerful that there's still really, I just think that the borders just like fall off. So
Facts, 100%. Like I said that about Bali to a lot of people because they're like, this is so crazy. You literally didn't know anyone there and you have all these friends now there. And I'm like, but people like want to make friends with you, like genuinely. They're like you said, they're in a different place. They're not from their home. Like, why not hang out and like, let's hang out again. Like you could bump into someone in a coffee shop and they're like, you want to go to a waterfall tomorrow? Or like, you want to meet up for a beach or dinner? And you're like, yeah. And like, it doesn't happen the same way here as much. Maybe in New York City. I don't know. I haven't lived in New York City in a little bit, but like that genuine openness to like make a new friend and meet a new person and hang out and do something together. I know we're all busy and we all have busy lives, but like, yeah, I think just being open more, and you never know. This could be your new best friend. This could be, like I said, business partner, client, could help you evolve into this next chapter.
yeah. I realized that also the first comment sometimes is the hardest. So once you pass that too, like say something, and you know, like don't be offended if the other person doesn't react the same way. So like you're like, hi, and it's fine. The other person's like, looks at you wrong or whatever. Like that's okay. You just, again, you just have to be present and laugh it out if the other person, but the next person might react to you, and one of the things I realize, if someone comes in the coffee shop or I come in and I'm like attracted to someone somehow, like I look at them or keep looking at them, or if I keep seeing them, by the third time I'm just like, look, I've seen you 3 times, how are you? I'm going to introduce myself. I know you're busy, but I just believe in those synchronicities. I just believe that that's almost magic, because 1 second before I wouldn't have met them. 1 second after, like they could have passed by me and I could have been looking the other way. But why am I looking at that person now? Or why am I seeing them a few times? And so usually I look at something that they have that I truly like, or their hairdo, or a watch, or a nice smile. Like, I love your smile. You make me smile. Like it's cheesy, but like it's so simple. Yeah.
That's perfect. I love that.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say today or share?
I just want to say thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. We're so similar. See, we didn't even know each other before this conversation, just through social media, but felt aligned and we've had similar journeys. And I think, like, on the same note of friendship and growth and healing, that openness is so important. Like, opening up your heart to people, because then they can't get to know you if you are closed off and you don't share yourself. And I know it's really uncomfortable to do at first, to like let people in a little bit, and especially if you've never shared anything online, or if you've kept all of your secrets in, you have not even told friends or family. Like, I get it, it's so hard in the beginning, but when people can really like see you and know you, maybe they've experienced like the same thing and they were hiding it too. But then when you open up about it, they're feeling safe to do so too. And so if you want these deeper relationships, connections, and healing, we have to go in and open. So that's what I wanted to leave with. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. I also want to say you're more beautiful than what I thought. Like, talking to you is like, oh, you're glowing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Besitos. Space Whispers. Thank you for spending time with me today. Your host, Rainy, on the Space Whispering podcast. I hope today's episode gave you something to reflect on, inspire you, or energize you to create something beautiful. Help us grow this soulful community and spread the love by subscribing to the podcast, leaving a review, or sharing this episode with your community. If you're feeling called to transform your inner or outer spaces into a true reflection of you, let's connect. Schedule a discovery session with me at rainy.co or Instagram rainy_. What soulful actions will you take today? Keep listening to the whispers of creation and let your soul's magic flow into the world. See you soon. Besitos.